Want to level up your leadership? Welcome to The Boss Coach.
A dash of cool, a splash of class. The Boss Coach leads, no time to pass. Oh, the Boss Coach, the leader's guide with swagger, style, strength, inside motivation.
Yeah, I have a Boss Coach theme remix I've been kind of keeping in my back pocket for a special occasion. Now, I know I said when we hit 100 followers, I'll drop a whole new, different theme song, but maybe soon I'll give you a little taste of that remix too, just shake things up. What do you think? Well, hey boss, how's business? It's the dog days of summer as I'm recording this, so are you feeling the slump? Is there an energy dip for you? Motivation dip? I know for me, I'm starting my 4-week sabbatical today, actually. My company offers that every 5 years. I've never actually taken one, but I've sucked it up and decided that I'm going to try it. So 4 weeks off starting now. We'll see how I do with that, so wish me luck. What am I doing during it is the question I get a lot, and I'm going to write a book. So as you may know, I've got 5 books in print right now, and I've been meaning to write the follow-up to my very first one. The first book was called Imaginary Jerry. It's a young adult novel about what happens to our imaginary friends once we're done with them. And I've been promising a follow-up to it. I've had it in my head, and I'm going to take 4 weeks now and sit down and write it. One of my favorite things in the world is just hanging out in a coffee shop. Since, I used to work in coffee, so being on the other side of the counter is kind of fun. But hanging out, drinking coffee, typing, and looking out the window and watching people, that is my version of happiness. So that's what I'm going to do. So wish me luck. So thanks for clicking and listening. My name is Patrick McGranahan. Welcome back to The Boss Coach. If you're new to the show, I urge you, as always, check out the podcast trailer. That is episode 100. Gives you some background on why I do this, what the podcast is all about, what the intention is, what you can get from it, etc. So look into it. Of course, I have quite a few episodes posted as well. So once you listen to the trailer, jump in and start digging through all the great topics we have. There's some really meaty subjects out there that can help. But let's jump into today's topic. And since this is episode 111, I kind of like these appropriate numbering things, we're going to talk about one-to-ones or touch-base meetings. Statistically, most of you don't really love these employee check-ins.
Hello, Peter. What's happening?
But to be fair, I know that they're not out of favor because you don't like people, right? I know it's just because they take a lot of time. But time well spent means time well invested, and that's only if you use the time well. And I'm telling you, this is the most important meeting of your day, and it's often overlooked. So oddly, about a third of employees have weekly or bi-weekly touch base or one-to-one meetings. Only a third. And you know what? 50% never meet with their manager, and that's horrible. But these opportunities could be more important. Think about it like a cheat code. Gallup says that managers who meet regularly with their employees experience 3 times greater employee engagement. They also have better retention, better ratings, better NPS scores, the whole thing. I don't think I need to sell you on this, right? And they give you an opportunity for guidance, recognition, mentoring, coaching too. I know that I say when they hear from you in the annual review, that shouldn't be the only time that they ever hear any opportunities for improvement or praise. It shouldn't come once a year. It should come regularly. And it's in these touch-base meetings where you do that. As always, I'm not going to sell you on why they're important. And I know you get that. It's just about finding the time and realizing the value in it. Trying to sell you is not what I do anyway. Studies show that leaders know they're important, but don't know how to do them effectively. That is where I come in, boss. So I've got 5 best practices for running great one-to-ones, and then tips for your own one-to-ones with your leader also, so you can make them efficient as well. But first and most importantly, the one-to-one should not be the only time they hear from you. Reach outs, how you doing, DMs, drop in on group meetings, etc. You should always touch base in less formal ways with your people so they know that you're thinking about them and that you are involved in their lives. But the one-to-one is not only for business coaching, it's also for relationship building. But we'll get into that. And make it clear that this is their time with you. Make it special. This is not an obligation on their part where they have to listen to you talk. No. This is the chance for them to shine, ask questions, or just get to know each other. Either way, it's their time to call the shots. So, 5 best practices for running these great one-to-ones. Number 1 is the cadence. This is important. It should be weekly for your direct leaders. Don't let them go more than a week without talking to you in a formal fashion. Bi-weekly for direct individual contributors. So not a leader, not a manager, not a supervisor, but just an IC that reports to you should be bi-weekly. And then for indirect reports, we would say do those monthly. If they're indirect by a couple of steps, maybe bi-monthly is fine. But having this set cadence is so important because it doesn't feel haphazard, it feels planned. It also lets them plan ahead so they know when's their next chance to talk and they can have their agenda items set, which we'll get to in a few minutes. So settle on the correct cadence for the type of report that you are meeting with, and that will make them more effective.
Good talk, son.
Talk, Dad.
Okay, second best practice for effective one-to-ones is preparation. Make it very clear they should prep bullet items to discuss in advance. You shouldn't show up to the meeting, either of you, and say, well, what do you want to talk about? I don't know, what do you want to talk about? Both of you should be prepared for that meeting. It makes it intentional. It gives them permission to set the agenda, which is extremely important for them to give them some control over the relationship. It also tells them how seriously you take it, that you're actually enforcing that. I want you to have things to talk about, and you need to think about it ahead of time. I had someone working for me before, her name was Kelsey, and she was great about sending out an agenda in advance, saying, I'd like to talk about these 5 things, and we're going to make some decisions, and this is what I need from you. Perfect. That clarity is amazing. Then it gives the meeting, again, extreme purpose and intent, and it makes it very productive. And that also means that you prep as well, right? You know they're going to have things to talk about, and you need to be ready to answer those. Having that mutual preparation is a great best practice for an effective one-to-one.
I'm ready.
Third best practice is the format. Super simple. Usually mine are around 30 minutes long. It could be an hour for you if you want, but either way, follow this percentage format. It's the 3/3 format. 1/3 personal, 1/3 their topics, 1/3 your topics. Okay, I already feel you bristling at the first third, but that is the most important part. That's how you organically grow a relationship. Talking to them about their personal things is much easier than you would think. The first time you meet, it may be awkward. You're finding things. So what are you doing this weekend? Well, how are your kids? Well, how's your husband? How's that dog? Whatever. But after a while, the more you meet, then you get to know them and you have more things to ask about. That's why you take notes. Take really good notes. So you're speaking to your report and they say, next week my husband is getting back surgery. Okay, make a note of it. I would also say, if you want to get bonus points, make sure to send the family some type of a get well gift or some other recognition, but we'll get to that another time. But for this one, just make the note. The next time you speak, hey, how did your husband's back surgery go? It means so much to them that you listened, that you remembered. They don't need to know that you made a note for yourself to ask them next time and make it look formal. But, organically you care about them and you wrote it down because you care and they need to know that. So that first third of personal, really, really, really crucial. The next third of their topics, again, it makes it intentional. It makes them prepare ahead of time like we just talked about. And on purpose, we put the third, your topics, at the end. That shows them that their information is the most important. Whatever you've got, you've probably already delivered it to them, or maybe you have another opportunity, but they know that their information and bullets are the most important thing. Yours come last, and that speaks volumes. Now, they might get really personal in these. Like, they might share things that you might not be comfortable with. They might get super into their health issues or personal life or whatever. That's okay. Look, this is a relationship. This cannot be simply a faceless, nameless, you work for me, and we're just going to go get our business done. People in that relationship don't stay. People in that situation are not loyal. You want loyalty and you want people who stay. So therefore, take the time to get personal.
Please understand, it was all business. It wasn't personal.
It was all personal to me.
All right, best practice number 4, the close. This is super crucial, but very easy. Okay, so at the very end of every meeting, you ask, what do you need from me? It's a servant leader essential. You heard us talk about that in the servant leadership episode. I learned this from an old boss of mine named Barb. Barb was amazing. And at the end of every single one-on-one, she would ask, what do you need from me? And I've adopted that ever since. It is so easy. When the meeting's almost over, and what do you need from me? They may have something, great. Write it down. Be ready to act on it. If they say, no, I don't need anything from you, great. You offered. There was nothing there. And that's all that needs to happen. It's important that you offer to help, not just honor their requests for it. It means that you care for them, you're thinking about them, and you will fulfill your servant leader promise.
What do you need? What do you need? What do you need?
Okay, best practice number 5, the follow-up. So that's where you teach them whether you were just listening, giving them lip service, or whether there are action items here, whether you're going to do something, whether you're going to follow up. You just ask them, what can I do for you? What do you need from me? You need to do it then. You write down, well, they're going to need permission to this one, access to this one system that they don't have. Great. Make a note. Then do it for them. That would mean email follow up and say, hey, I did that thing you asked for. Or copy them on the email to the system administrator saying they need access, they don't have it. Then they know that you followed up immediately. People hate lip service. That's the problem I have with active listening. You can say, what I hear you saying is that you don't have access to the system and you need that for your job. Did I get that right? Sounds great, but if they say yes and then you do nothing about it, having them talk about it did nothing. People won't ask you any more because they know you won't do anything. So show them that you act on it. And that's the most important thing. You got to prove this over time or they're not going to tell you stuff. So the first time they say, well, yes, actually, I'm going to need that system access, then they see you do it, then they have trust in you. And next time they'll be more likely to be more open about what they need. And that's really what you're asking for. It's hard enough just to do things for people. Harder than that is trying to figure out what they need. So if they offer that up without you having to drag it out of them, you just skipped ahead the line.
And I do not tolerate jibber jabber.
Okay, so those are 5 easy steps, right? It's a formula. You set an appropriate one-to-one schedule based on how they relate to you. You both prep for it. You stick to that 3/3 format, which is easy. Ask them what they need and then follow up. Easy. You can do that, right? You might even find that your people are actually kind of interesting. Like, it's not just fulfilling an obligation to try to act like you like them. No, the more that you get to know people, the more you like them. You know, that whole adage of familiarity breeds contempt, you've heard me say it before, is BS. It's not true. It is the more you get to know people, you gain empathy, you gain sympathy, and you build that relationship to where you actually do have something in the workplace resembling a cohesive, normal relationship that makes people want to be in your orbit. That's how you be an effective leader, through effective one-on-ones. So how about your meetings with your leader? All right, we've talked about you meeting with your reports. How about the people that you report to? How does your leader run these? You know, even if they're not in compliance with those 5 best practices, that doesn't mean that you can't set a good example in interactions with your boss or even their boss if you have a two-level down meeting. So here's 3 tips on how to get started with some good best practices on meeting with your boss. Okay, number 1, if you're that 50% who don't meet with your boss, don't wait for them. Set up the recurring meeting yourself. I know you're thinking, can I do that? Yes, of course you can. They'll probably say, oh yeah, I was meaning to set those up, thank you, or something like that. But it shows you have great initiative and also fast forwards that relationship. I know you're concerned with the people that report to you, but also spend the time concerning yourself with how you relate to people above you. Number 2, best practice. You know what? Again, preparation. Prepare for the meeting with your leader, meaning you send the agenda out in advance. Who does that? Well, I do. I've done that for decades now. You know, you can either send it as an email, a OneNote, whatever. It lets you control the agenda. It lets you decide what you're talking about. And it also makes your boss's life easier too, right? Because as we just said, it's sometimes hard in these meetings to come up with what to talk about. So you hope that they will tell you what they want. So here's you telling your leader, here's what I'd like to talk about. And they will really, really appreciate that, just like you would for the people that report to you. You also just need that time with them, right? Or you get forgotten. You know, they need to know that you're down there in their organization, and they need to know exactly what you're working on so they can report that to the people as well. They're not going to know it unless they talk to you. Okay, number 3 best practice. It's a proxy. Pass along feedback and insights from your team. You know, your leader really does want to know what's going on in your downline, but they don't always think about how to ask for it directly. Your leader sees you as a gatekeeper to the business that you run. So give your reports a voice. Give them individual shout outs. Say, hey, Bill did a great job here. Jane was amazing on this one project. You should really talk to Sheila. She had some great ideas, whatever. This is how you give your people a voice. Also, give your leader to-dos. You know, they may not ask you, well, what can I do for you? Doesn't matter, but tell them, I need you to get access for this employee in this system, and only you have the ability to do that. I need you to talk to boss of that team because I'm having a hard time getting reports from them. Whatever. Ask them to do things they'll be happy to. Half the time, as you know, as you're a leader yourself, you don't know what you're supposed to be doing for people because they won't ask. So be the good report for your leader and tell them what you need. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, I don't like being a squeaky wheel. No. You're being the good wheel. You're not the person asking for help all the time. You're not begging to get attention paid to you. You're just saying, I'm here, and I remind you that I don't need anything important, but here's what we're doing. Here's what I'm doing, and I'm giving you the information that you need to do your job and to report to your people. Just make it easy on your own leader, boss, right? Like you'd like them to do for you. Now, back in the coffee business, I had this one regional manager, and she always said that she kind of dreaded traveling to certain stores because they didn't want her there, and they fought her, and it was just a pain. But she actually counted the hours until visiting my store. That's because I welcomed her. I didn't fight her. I was able to set the agenda for what we talked about. Here are the numbers. Here are the things I need help on. Here's what you can do for me. Those are things that she really longed for and not feeling like she wasn't welcome. So make them feel welcome. Make your reports and your boss feel welcome to talk to you about anything, and that really enhances the relationship. So here's what you can do right now to give yourself the ability to run more effective one-to-ones. And you probably know what I'm going to say here, right? If you're not doing regular one-to-ones, set them up now. No, now. Like as soon as you're done listening, set them up based on what we talked about. Either it's a weekly, a bi-weekly, or monthly, whatever. Don't think they'll freak out. Just tell them the boss coach told you that you need to do it if you need a scapegoat, whatever it is. You've got to set them up now while you're thinking about it. And if you do already have these one-on-ones, take a look at the format. Implement the 3/3 one that we talked about. Look over the best practices to see if you're following those. And if not, try it my way, at least for a month, and check to see if that works better for you. I really think you'll get better engagement, and they'll feel less forced and more organic, and you'll get more out of those meetings. Look, I know you don't have a lot of time in your schedule. I get it. Make the time. It's crucial that you forge these organic relationships with your people on a one-to-one basis. When my blended family got together, I had a friend named Trish. And I sat down with her because she had great social types of skills and experience. And I said, how do we make this work? And she said that what you've got to do is that you form individual memories with each member of the family. And so each of you have something together, not just as the group, but as a one-to-one. A family and a team are really just a series of relationships. But they're not just one relationship. They're an amalgam of them. They're not just all of them reporting to you. You need to have something that you can speak to and about with each person in your team. Same when you talk to your own leader. You need to have a relationship with them and not just be a member of their downline. That's a nameless, faceless situation. It doesn't make anybody's job any easier. So to grow any relationship, you need water. And that water is attention. Giving your people attention and giving a time to share attention with your leader is how you grow these relationships. And the best way to do that, the best water you have, is leveraging the opportunity for these one-to-one meetings. I'm telling you, it works. All right, thank you for your time. I am Patrick McGranahan, the Boss Coach. Make sure to thumbs up and follow so you get notice of new episodes. Remember, I drop them every Monday. It's a nice little thank God it's Monday thing. And, share my episodes with friends, with family, with coworkers, with people on LinkedIn, whatever it is. Help me spread the word. I really appreciate it. I'm getting a wider network, which is awesome, but we could grow faster if you helped out. So just send it around if any particular episode spoke to you and see if it speaks to them too. Also send your comments. I'm getting ideas for future episodes from all of you, and that's great. I take suggestions on all kinds of things. I'll even take your feedback on whether you agree or disagree with me. Let's have that conversation. And you know what? Long shot. Let's say you want to be on a future episode. Hit me up. Who knows? We'll have a conversation together about a really cool topic and we'll both have a lot of fun. So until then, I'll see you next time on The Boss Coach. Back to work, boss.
Thank you for joining us today for The Boss Coach, hosted by Patrick McGranahan. We'd also like to thank our associate producer, Hannah, and consulting contributor, Stephanie. Original music provided by Sono AI Studio. All statements and opinions by our host and guests are solely their own observations and may not reflect those of their contemporaries or employers. Please check out other episodes of The Boss Coach for more valuable opportunities to level up your leadership. Until next time, I am your announcer, Ava. Have a great day, and as always, lead with your heart.